Hey, Facebook. It's Christina here from Authentic Action Coaching. Welcome to this week's Tuesday Live, celebrating the power of choice, because we all do have the power to choose the thoughts we think, the feelings we feel, and the actions that we take. So welcome to tonight's live, where I'm going to be talking all about choosing to avoid the need for toxic approval seeking. So if you're popping on, please do say hello. Give me a wave so I can wave to you back and say hello. Yeah, it's lovely to have people join. So hey Alison, thanks for joining. How are you? Hope you're well. So I don't know whether many of you saw the rather comical image that I found that has inspired this live tonight, but I think we can all probably admit to ourselves that there are times in our lives where we seek approval. We naturally do find ourselves needing to seek approval. So tonight I want to really cover 4 areas of approval seeking. As ever, this is really designed to help everyone grow some awareness to when it's happening, and to really be able to kind of notice it's happening, to be able to shift out of it, and to really get into greater alignment with who you are and what you want to do. So hey Fiona and hey Charlotte, thanks for joining. So I'm going to be talking about what is approval seeking anyway. What is it at its core? Why do we do it? What leads us to have the need to need approval or to ask for validation? So I'm going to be talking about that. Where can it lead us? So if we have the awareness it's happening, where can we actually see, if we don't do anything about it, where could it potentially kind of send us down a road? And then with that knowing, then I'm going to end on the point of actually how we can avoid the need itself for approval or for the need for validation, and that we can actually come into and step into our own power. So take our power back to really come from a place of inner strength, inner confidence and knowing. And that is something that is key to what I do with my coaching clients, is to find out who they are at their absolute core, at a real deep level. So the byproduct of knowing that, of going there and exploring that, is this unstoppable confidence, because you meet yourself and you get to know about yourself at such a deep level without the need for external validation of who you are. You come to meet who you actually are unapologetically, without judgment, and accepting your whole self for who you are. So let's make a start, and as ever I'd love this to be interactive, so I'm going to be asking you guys some questions, so get your fingers at the ready, or your thumbs, and I'd love to know your thoughts. So the first point I wanted to talk about is, what is approval seeking anyway? Like, what is it? And so if you think about it, when we ask for somebody else's approval, it comes from a need that we maybe place somebody's knowledge, wisdom above our own. So often it comes from a place of maybe lack of confidence, not really knowing, unsure, overwhelmed, whatever that is. And we all have that experience from time to time. And that we feel that we almost need somebody's permission or somebody's backing to help us kind of nudge along that way. So it really comes down to this really lack of trusting ourselves and a lack of confidence in ourselves and our own ability. Now I can think of lots of times when I found myself seeking approval and seeking validation outside of myself. But I'm curious for you guys, where do you naturally seek approval? Is there something, is it a relationship, be that an intimate relationship or a professional relationship, maybe a friendship, where you naturally find yourself seeking approval, so seeking some kind of validation, and it can be on any level. So it could be, like I say, a friend in a social situation. It could be your boss at work. It could be a co-worker. And what is driving that need, really, for you to ask for that approval? Now, this can feel like a really quite uncomfortable topic, right? But the reason why I'm choosing to talk about it is that we all, and I don't think anyone can say that they haven't ever asked for approval before. And sometimes, and if you do find this uncomfortable, then that's interesting in itself, because everything is information here. There's no such thing as good or bad here. This is simply information. So if you are triggered by this and you're thinking, this feels awkward, then I would really ask to, or encourage you to bring some caring curiosity into this. Hey Coyote, how are you? Hey Chris, hey Melissa, thanks for joining. So the whole thing around needing approval from somebody else, I came across a quote that was just really powerful, because some of this, when we're needing approval, it often comes from a place of we're not really sure, so we're distrusting ourselves and maybe our own inner knowing, and we want somebody else to make the decision for us, right? So the quote that I found that is just so very powerful is, what you're not changing, you're choosing. Yeah, so hear that one more time. What you are not changing, you're choosing. So often when we're in procrastination or, that overwhelm mode, just because we're not doing anything doesn't mean that actually we're not doing anything. We're choosing not to do anything. So we are choosing to sit on that fence or stagnate. And, this comes down to really misalignment. Many people that I coach come from this place when we're triggered by stress, right? When we're unsure, especially if we are feeling uncomfortable. Maybe you're learning something new. Maybe you're entering into a tricky part of your relationship and there's a lot of change going on. It's completely natural for us to seek reassurance, and it can creep in that we ask for other people's approval. So I'd love to know, for any of you guys that are watching, where have you or do you seek approval? Who in your, relationships, where do you seek approval? And why do you do that? Feel free to add in the comments, but I'll completely understand if you don't want to. But just to bring awareness to where are you seeking approval and what are the reasons that are driving that need to seek that approval. Because ultimately, where this is driven from is that we are literally giving our power away to somebody else. Yeah. So when we don't trust ourselves, we are asking somebody else to make the decision for us or to give us that extra bit of oomph so we can move forward, which we all do. It's natural to do it, but the difference here is to bring awareness to when we are doing it so we can actually make some moves to shift out of that real need and thinking, why am I needing somebody else's permission here? Why am I needing somebody else's approval? Often this happens when we're in situations, especially at work, where there might be a hierarchical situation, and someone you believe has more power over you, that you can almost become subservient to that power. You still do have the right to question and to gain clarity on what it is you want and what you don't want. Because the territory of where we excessively ask for approval is we become codependent. And the danger of becoming codependent is really going down the road of further misalignment. And when I talk about misalignment, it's really you knowing yourself at such a deep level that you know why you're doing what you're doing. You know your purpose. You know what lights you up. You know why you're moving in the direction you're moving. You know really how you feel when you feel fulfilled. And that drives your sense of knowing, because by doing that, you're less likely to check in with others and seek their approval. You might use people as sounding boards, yeah? But if you are, literally handing your power over to somebody else by saying, validate me, approve that I can do this, asking for permission, the energy behind that is a bit childlike if you think about it, because this is, as we are, and when we're children, our parents are our caregivers, and so often we are asking for approval because we believe that we don't have the power to do this ourselves. And this can be sneaky. This can sneak up upon us so easily. And so the benefit here is to bring awareness to it, so you can actually start to bring in that element of caring curiosity, to start to identify where this happens, so you can start to really ask yourself some open-ended questions and do the work to understand what's driving it, what's the driving force behind you needing approval. So why do we do it? Well, often, the benefit of seeking validation and seeking approval is that it takes the pressure off us. It's like, I don't have to do anything. I've just got to wait and ask and see what they come back with. So it kind of gives us this respite where we don't have to be accountable to our actions, so we don't have to take responsibility. So it can feel freer, right? Makes it completely understandable. So it can feel better in the short term. It gives us an excuse not to act. Yeah, so it's just like, oh no, ball's in their court, I can't do anything. And on the flip side, it can slowly start to diminish our self-confidence if we're not careful, because we can come from a place of really swimming around and playing the game with our inner saboteur, where your saboteur really wants you to need others, really wants you to not be sure of yourself, to kind of stay in this lower place of certainty, like you know where you are. Certainly, in this level of energy, we often think about, misery loves company, that we kind of like to lick our wounds a little bit. We like to think, oh, well, again, other people are more powerful and more confident than I am, so I need to seek their approval to give me validation to move forward. And often this comes out very clearly in even just the words that you use. So it's interesting to start to bring awareness to where you are asking for permission, or you are seeking approval from, a relationship in your life, to start to understand what the dynamic is, what's happening there, who and how are you giving your power over to somebody else, and how importantly is that making you feel? Yeah, because this is your life, this is what you want to do, this is how you want to live. And often when we look to somebody else for direction, and they may give us their opinion or their advice, then often it's through their filter and often through their agenda as well. So especially in terms of work situations, that, your boss could potentially, or another person that holds some perceived power, because that's all it is, remember, it's perceived power, that they could then start to manipulate you potentially to get you to do something, because they could come at it from a place of, placing you in a place of fear, almost an ultimatum of, well, I need you to do this, and infer if you don't, then there will be repercussions, because that is power play. And as you as an employee, for example, you need to bring some awareness to when that may be happening. And even, I say workplace as an example, this can completely happen in an intimate relationship as well. if we're not careful, because if we are constantly looking to another to provide ourselves with a sense of confidence, a sense of trust, a sense of where should I go now, then that other person, it opens the door for them to steer you in a way that will feather their own nest and maybe not feather your own. Okay, so there's an open opportunity to be manipulated, because we are handing over power potentially to that other party, and we are diminishing our own power as a result. So where can that lead? Well, where we give more and more of our power away, we move ourselves more and more out of alignment. So one of the key things that I do with my coaching clients is help them get really super duper clear on their core values. So I create something called an inner navigation tool. And this inner navigation tool there's a number of steps to this process, but really it's designed to help you get really, really clear on your inner knowing. So I've talked before about holographic thinking. So that's bringing attention to your logical thinking, up in your brain, right, wrong, good, bad, pros and cons. Your heart center, your emotional center, so how you're feeling, because we are designed to feel all the feels. Emotions are energy in motion. It's really important that we tune into that. And finally, your gut, your intuition, your deep instinct, which is this inner knowing. It's funny, I interviewed a client of mine earlier on today, and I'm going to post her testimonial about her coaching journey with you all, which she's very kindly wanting to share. And I asked her to describe how could she describe her inner knowing? What does that sound like? What does that feel like? And she really struggled to put it in words, but I think where we got to was just this overall grounding certainty of just when you just so know that there's no shred of doubt in your mind, because it kind of moves your focus and energy from focusing on pros and cons, good and bad, to just this alignment. You click into place and go, that feels right, from a very deep level. So often what happens is we, over time, lose touch with our intuition. We lose touch with this inner knowing that we have, because we all do have intuition. We all do have some inner knowing in ourselves. Over time, you may have picked up some habits, some conditioning, because we all do, where we begin to not trust ourselves. And that's where the approval seeking starts to come in, because suddenly you don't trust your own knowing, you will trust somebody else's opinion over what you know. And so part of this process is to come back and to almost draw the power back to you, draw the knowing back to you, where you get really super, super duper, like I say, bring clarity to your non-negotiables. So things that have to be in place in your life that actually help ground you and guide you and navigate. So where you get pulled off course, you can easily use this inner navigation tool to pull you back on course. And it's funny, as I'm saying this, I'm noticing my dad's painting. My dad painted that. It was a boat in New Zealand, and it's kind of really like a shipping navigation, right? So you're using the wind. So the wind you can't control, external conditions you can't control, but you are adjusting your sail. So in this analogy, the sail boat is your inner navigation tool. So whether the wind blows you off course, so you may have, a very powerful character come into your life and try and persuade you to do something or shift you into a position, through bringing awareness to where that, hey, I'm getting blown right off course here, I don't feel comfortable. You can actually use your inner navigation, your values, to kind of go, hold on, what am I doing? And ground back into, what is important for me? What am I honouring here? And actually, who am I being in this moment? Am I being true to me or am I being true to somebody else? And why am I doing that? And as I say, this can be quite an uncomfortable process. We are addicted to numbing pain. The slightest headache that comes over us, most of us reach for some paracetamols. You know, if something tweaks or hurts or feels uncomfortable, we can so easily reach for something that's going to distract us or numb us from pain. But the fact is, the real antithesis, the power of you, is to feel your pain, to lean into your pain, and to bring care and curiosity to where you're at, why you're feeling what you're feeling, and to explore and investigate what's going on for you so you can course correct, right? So it's back to the boatman analogy. You can course correct to make sure that you are in alignment with who you want to be, what's important to you. I'd love for anyone who's watching to share, you know, where have you been out of alignment with yourself? You know, when I'm talking about values, have you ever found yourself in a relationship that maybe you found yourself not being true to yourself? I can think of, you know, in my career, there's been certain positions I've held in jobs where I felt something felt wrong on a deep level. And it's because what I was doing wasn't honouring what I truly care about. Fact is, we don't often spend very much time to ask ourselves, what do I truly care about? What do I care about? Not other people. Because we can get so easily distracted by the needs and wants and values of others, you know, what we think we should want, where we think we should be. And we can so easily get blown off course. It can quickly happen. And that's the benefit of, you know, getting a coaching relationship going and support with a coach, because often with my clients, it's holding that space, that non-judgmental space of what's coming up for you. Where are you going with this? Where do you want to be? And really explore what feelings, what emotions are coming up for you, and where the discomfort is. Because wherever the discomfort is, it's because you're out of alignment. Yeah? Whenever there's discomfort, remember, it's a signal to show that there's, you know, some suffering happening because you are not fulfilling a deep need. And certainly this was my experience in many facets of my life, and I can only put words to this now with the knowledge that I have gained through my coach training, on reflection, knowing that that's why I was uncomfortable back then, because I was way out of alignment. I was doing a job, I was in a relationship, I was seeking friendship with people that didn't share what I valued. I was pretending to be someone I wasn't because I wanted to fit in. Because with all of this, right, we're wired to want to belong. Yeah, but fitting in, the need, the want to fit in, it's the opposite of belonging. Because belonging is being who you truly are, unapologetically standing in your own truth and power, and knowing that you can stand in that, speak from that place confidently, and not care about the judgment, not care about other people's opinion, because you are so in alignment, you are so strong and so certain that you don't need anybody else's approval to be exactly who you are. To get to that point does take work. It takes some courageousness, it takes some willingness to invest in yourself, to explore who am I really, because we evolve and morph and grow in all different directions, and unless we really bring some, you know, key awareness to what's really going on for us, we can then start to realise where we're out of alignment, how far we are out, and then make our way back. So course correct. Hey Kate, hey Christina, hey Jamie, thanks for joining. So, you know, this is something that I think it can be, like I say, a very uncomfortable subject, because I guess none of us would like to think that we are really seeking approval from outside of ourselves, but we all do at certain points in our life, and it can catch us off guard, and often we don't maybe realise it until we feel like we're suffering, until we feel like something just isn't right. And we may feel resentful, or we may feel at the effect of a situation or a relationship. If this is triggering you in any way, shape or form, if something's coming up for you where you think, oh, I don't like hearing that, then that's information that you can choose to do whatever you want with. But the reason why that's bringing discomfort to you is that there's an element of truth in it. Because if you are handing over your power to somebody else, whoever that is, you are voicing to them, you are energetically, sending out to the universe that you do not trust yourself. You do not have the confidence in yourself, that you're needing somebody else to give you that validation or approval. And so often, it's very common, and I think it's happened with me definitely, that I've had to reach crisis point, or I've had to reach kind of getting knocked about a bit, not physically but emotionally, for me to shake myself awake to the awareness of where I am handing over my power to somebody else, where I'm allowing somebody to tell me how things should be, when actually I am the master of my ship, as you all are. You are the master of your inner navigation. And so it's really important to equip yourself with, and these are life tools, right? I mean, this is often what I say with my coaching clients. I don't want to coach people for the rest of their lives, right? I want to coach people for a period of time, do the deep inner work, create real change at a deep subconscious level, and give you the tools where you can navigate through your next, storms, to course correct, to navigate back into alignment. Because life will happen to us all, right? We get knocked off of alignment. It's so easy. And especially when a few areas in our life, if they're challenging all at the same time, then it can be really tough to recover from that. And that's often where it is super beneficial to partner with a coach that can hold space for you, mirror back what they're hearing, what they're seeing, what they're sensing, and then place you at choice, place you at absolute choice. Because, again, celebrating the power of choice, everyone, you do have the power to choose. Never think that you don't, because you do. Even at the times that you really don't think that's the case, you absolutely do. And the times where you maybe don't feel like you have, it's probably because you are emotionally, physically or mentally exhausted, and you need to rest and then rebuild. And that's another thing that sometimes is necessary, and that you need to give yourself permission to be able to do that, to rebuild from the ground up, because we do all need that, throughout our lives. It's about falling over and getting back up again. Yeah, it's about being blown off course. That's our little bird, our boat, getting blown off course, and then course correcting again, and really being able to, get yourself balanced and steady again. So off you go again from a place of knowing an empowered confidence that you can feel unstoppable, and get to a place where you don't need, the need is gone to meet anybody else's approval, because you're learning to meet your own approval. You're learning to have confidence and trust in yourself, and that actually life doesn't happen to you, life doesn't happen for you, life happens through you. And this is all part of energetic mastery. This is all part of how I coach, and the tools that I share with my clients, that are life tools that creates ripple effects. Because often with coaching, and again I spoke about this with my client this afternoon, when she talked about her experience and shared it, the ripple effect is that other people in your life start noticing the change in you, start noticing, oh, you're being more decisive, you're being clearer, you're being more confident, like, wow, you know. And so that's the other measure of this, that when other people start seeing you adjust, then that's the other a clear indication that you are being more in alignment. Now, I will add that you may even piss people off. You may anger people because you are taking your power back. And maybe the people that you've given your power to maybe don't like that. Yeah? And that's completely understandable. But it is your responsibility, your radical responsibility, and your radical ability to own yourself, your beliefs, your values, and come from that place of knowing. That's where confidence, unstoppable confidence and knowing lives. And that is what I'm here to do, to help people come from that place. So I hope you found that helpful. If you feel like this would benefit anybody else, and they need to hear this, maybe you know somebody who is currently in a codependent relationship, be that intimate or at work or friendship, and maybe some rebalancing is required, please feel free to share this. My want, as ever, with these Tuesday Lives is to help everybody bring awareness, and, you know, sometimes trigger you into bringing you awareness. So to remind everybody that we all have the power to choose how we see things, how we show up in the world, the choices we make, the actions we take. Everything is, if we can shift into this place of conscious choice, consciously knowing, not running from autopilot, that's where the power lies. And it lies within you. It lies within all of us. We just need to do some inner work to really, truly tap into that to move forward. So, as ever, wishing you all a week full of power of choice, full of asking yourself for approval, asking yourself for your own validation, because nobody else owns you. Nobody else has the power to say what you should or shouldn't do. Use people as sounding boards, absolutely, but do the work to really get to know who you are at your core, and that's going to help you throughout your life, for sure. So, yeah, thanks everybody for popping by. If you're watching it on replay, please do, add replay in the comments so I know you've visited, so I can say hello. And I will catch you next week on next week's Tuesday Live. Loads of love. Bye.